be able to record. All right. One more time, Aiden. Duck down. Got it. Thank you. All right. So this is angle relationships. There's 5 on here that we're going to talk about. These are important though. Like I said, these will carry you through the year. I'm going to be mentioning this stuff still in the 3rd and 4th 9 weeks. By that time, it should just be in the back of your brain, just automatic memory. Vertical angles. First thing I'm going to talk about is the first angle relationship. It's 2 angles across from each other on intersecting lines. They're always congruent. That's the key part of that. You need to know that vertical angles are congruent. Once you see it drawn out, you'll understand that they are congruent too. So in this example, we're going to draw out 2 different examples. Do one here of some intersecting lines. We're going to make an X with the lines basically. Got 2 intersecting lines here. On this angle over here, I'm going to label this 1. The other 2 on the other side, across from each other. This is a representation of what vertical angles are. 2 angles that sit across from each other, and they're congruent. These 2 angles are congruent, and we call them vertical angles. So if you know one, you automatically know what the other is. To write this out, it would be the measure of angle 1 is congruent to the measure of angle 2. Let me show you one more example with the lines a little bit more collapsed together. So another example using lines again, intersecting lines. 1 and 2 here. These angles that are across from each other would be vertical of each other. This is even better because you can kind of see it now. It should be obvious to y'all when y'all look at these on paper that these 2 angles are congruent. Let's ask 1. Angle 1 and 2. Classify those 2 angles. Just classify them. Yeah, they're acute angles, right? They both. You could tell that just by visually looking at them. What about these 2 that I didn't number? They're obtuse. So it's kind of obvious to you which angles are the vertical angles and which angles are congruent. I know that this angle and this angle are congruent to each other, and I know that this angle and this angle, whatever they would be congruent to each other. That's just sight. That's just visual. I need y'all to develop that visual sight. You don't know how many kids are going to get to the end of the year, y'all still can't see that those angles are congruent to each other. And that's just by looking at paper. Those are vertical angles. Alright, sliding over. Adjacent angles next. 2 angles that are next to each other and share a common side. We kind of talked about adjacent angles the other day. We just didn't put the word in there. We said side by side. I'll even show it to you in the notes from the other day. When we're doing angle addition postulate down here, these 2 angles are adjacent angles. Angles that sit side by side. We even said it down here in the definition, side by side. We could have just wrote the word adjacent, but we decided to use side by side because we wait until the day to teach you the adjacent word. But that's what it means. 2 angles that sit right next to each other. We're going to draw something similar to that too. Draw a big angle. My bad. And then put a ray in between here. And then you have 2 adjacent angles. Angle 1 and 2 would be adjacent to each other. 2 angles that sit right next to each other, adjacent. Now, even on a line, you can have adjacent angles too. I didn't show this in the other class, but I think I should show this so you won't get confusion. Sorry, drew another one down here. Even if you have a straight line and you have an angle right next to each other like this, 1 and 2, those are adjacent angles as well. One is just obviously obtuse, the other one is obviously acute. That's still an example of adjacent angles. So 2 angles sit right next to each other, adjacent. Y'all should have heard that word before in everyday life. Like, people use it a lot, especially when they're talking about location of like buildings and stuff. They said the building is adjacent to this one, they sit right next to each other, or my house is adjacent to my neighbor's house, something like that. It's an everyday word. Complementary angles. Any two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. Complementary. This is not the same as the word compliment, like complimenting somebody. You look nice today. Not the same thing. Spelled differently too. That one is, you can use the I in that word. This is geometry word, complementary. This means two angles whose sum is 90 degrees. So complementary can look two different ways to you. Since they add up to 90 degrees, it could be two angles that sit on a right angle. So you have two angles that sit on a right angle, and they'll be complementary. You got a right angle right here. You got two angles that sit on that right angle. And say one of them is 30 degrees, the other one is 60. These would be complementary angles. But they don't necessarily have to be together to be considered complementary. These two angles could be separated. As long as the two angles that you're comparing add up to 90, then you're good. Can you stop eating that, please? I didn't want to say it, but you keep going. Put it up, get it out your lap. You know who I'm talking to. Lunch will be in a couple of minutes. It also could be this situation. They could be separated like this, and it could be two angles you're just comparing. But if their values add up to 90 degrees, then they are complementary. 70 plus 20 give you 90, and complementary angles. So that's complementary. Word similar to that one, but means the other thing, is supplementary. Supplementary angles are any two angles whose sum is 180 degrees. There's two angles that form that add up to 180 degrees. They could be connected. Could be two angles on a line. Angle 1 and angle 2. If any two angles forms a line, they have to form 180. So these could be supplementary, but they don't have to be. They could be disconnected, and their values could add up to 180. So say I had a 120 degree angle, and then I had another smaller 60 degree angle that weren't connected. Those could be supplementary as well. Alright. So the best one for last. Last one, linear pair. Linear pair is two angles that are adjacent and supplementary. Two of the words we already covered. Adjacent and supplementary. To qualify to be a linear pair, you have to be both of these. Adjacent, which means they sit side by side, and supplementary. They will form a straight line. A linear pair is this. We just drew it, really. Straight line, two angles on that line that form that line. Angle 1 and angle 2. These would be a linear pair. Adjacent, they sit right next to each other, and they're supplementary. They add up to 180. That is a linear pair. Now, in contrast to that, so linear pair will always be supplementary. In reverse of that, supplementary angles won't always be a linear pair. I just show you an example of that down here. This is supplementary angles right here. They're not connected. They don't form a line. These are not a linear pair. To be a linear pair, you have to be adjacent and supplementary. And then equation for that would be measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 equals 180 degrees. Let's see if you comprehended any of what I just said. We're going to start this thing off right. Mike, on the back. Identifying types of angles. Check all relationships between angle 1 and angle 2 in each figure here. Number 1, all we're doing is looking at angle 1 and angle 2, Mike. Tell me what relationship you see between those two angles. Say it again. Vertical. That's the only thing on this one, Mike. I ain't trying to trick you. I'm just asking. It's a yes or no. No. You cannot be vertical and adjacent at the same time. Only one or the other. Because if you look on the, No. Honestly, on this one, Mike, only thing it is vertical. It's not enough information to prove anything else. You can't be a vertical and adjacent at the same time because you got to understand. Vertical is across from each other. Adjacent is side by side. If I had 1 and 2 sitting right here, that would be adjacent, side by side. Vertical is across. Linear pair, no. None of that. Only thing that fits on this one is vertical. Number 2. That's another good table to mess with. Faith, number 2. Adjacent. No, not supplementary. If you're gonna tell me, you gotta explain it. I want to hear Vincent. I want to hear Vincent's explanation. Yeah, Vincent. What is it now? But why? You gonna give me an explanation, Juan? Hold on.
I say because it's 90 degrees.
How?
Because it's got the right angle.
The right angle on the other side.
Yeah, but because what is it? My man said 82 angles, so 90 degrees.
It's a 90 degree over here.
Yeah.
How you know this 90 over here?
I don't know. It just it comes from here.
They're both right angles, because they're the same on both sides. That means this angle.
There you go. That's a better explanation. Yeah. You can't say that. Shh. Anytime they give you a right angle marking, that means 2 lines are what? What's the P word? Nah, it ain't parallel. Anytime they give you this right angle marking, they tell you this line and this line are what? Y'all keep saying parallel. Never mind, man. I'm asking y'all too many. Perpendicular? We just did this the other day. You want to see the dictionary words when we did it? Shh. I don't care. Nah, I'm going to let the video ride. I want people online to see. What, the kids of America. No. Shh. If I can put a right angle box here, I can put one here on the other side, but it's for both angles. And so, yeah, they are complementary because that means angle 1 and angle 2, even though I don't know the value of them, they have to add up to 90 degrees. So they are complementary. Yeah, I just need good explanations, that's all. Alright, sliding on. What's the next tape I can borrow? Since Mr. Richburg ain't bringing no work today. Number 3. A little bit loud, I can't hear you. They are supplementary. They other stuff too. Which one? You said vertical and adjacent. Which one are you going with? They adjacent? Huh? Yep. Look in your definitions. Adjacent and supplementary are together in one of the definitions. Yeah. If they're adjacent and supplementary, they have to be a linear pair. That describes a linear pair. Sliding on. That tape was just Zulian. Yeah, I'm gonna leave them alone. Lucas, you up? Number 4. little bit louder. Yeah, they're adjacent. Anything else? I'm asking you. Okay. Kevin, you was about to tell me something?
Are they complimentary?
They are not. No. Lucas was right. He said he didn't think so. He don't think it's nothing else. There is nothing else that they are. You can't. The closest thing that they could possibly be, maybe if this was a right angle here, they would be complementary. But they didn't show us anything to indicate that. You can't assume that either. Don't assume that that's a right angle. So these are not complementary. If they're adjacent, they can't be vertical. They're not. They're definitely not supplementary. These two wouldn't add up to 180, and that wouldn't make them a linear pair. All they are adjacent angles. I'm sorry. Nasir. Yes. Number 5. If you're going to say that, you're going to have to explain that, especially on this problem. Now, I don't like that explanation. Aiden, I'm interested to see what you're going to say. And linear? Yeah, but they're on opposite sides of the line. I can't agree with that linear. All right, Kevin, what you got? Shh. Hey, be quiet. Y'all talking and y'all don't know what y'all doing. What? They are vertical. Anything else? Anybody? Okay, I'm going to let Vincent take this one. Vincent, you say complimentary, but you got to explain this to me. I agree, but you got to explain it before I put the check on him. Mike, look up at the screen, man, so you can catch this concept. Look up. What you worry about number 6 for? We ain't did number 5. You don't even know 5. It's not just vertical, Mike. Me and Vincent about to teach you something, Mike. Me and Vincent about to teach you something, but you got to pay attention. Shh. Everybody needs to. Connor, if you don't want to pay attention, just be quiet. Don't distract that table, please. Go ahead, Vincent. Talk to me. Why are these complementary? Shh. He's saying both angles are half of 90, but how do you know that? You got to walk me around this thing. Okay, so you got a right angle here. So what's up? So what he's saying without saying it is, if there's a right angle here, should be a right angle here, here, all the way around. We talked about this already with perpendicular lines. And then up here on angle 1, under there they got indication markings here. What are they telling you about this small angle, angle 1, and this other angle on the other side? They're congruent, right? So if they're congruent, they got to be half of whatever the full angle is, which is 90. What's half of 90? 45. So that means it's 45 degrees. This angle is 45 degrees. If angle 1 is 45 degrees and angle 1 and angle 2 are vertical, what is angle 2? 45 degrees. If that's the case, angle 1 and 2, they both add up to 90, so that makes them complementary. Even though they're not next to each other, they're across from each other, they still add up to 90 degrees. That makes those two angles complementary angles. Y'all follow that concept? Mike, you got that? Didn't want you to miss that. Now we can look at number 6, Mike. I kind of wanted this one for Aiden, but he didn't answer one on that. Dior, you can have this one. A little louder. How you know it's self-familiar? Y'all go to the. I ain't saying you're wrong. I just need to know. Uh-huh. I disagree with that. I just do. Before we get all in complementary supplement, it ain't adjacent or vertical. You skipping that? Which one is it? A vertical. We'll start there. Then after that, let's figure out this complementary supplementary thing, if it is either one of them. Don't make Vincent explain this one again. Somebody else come with it, man. He can't be the only one in here saying this. They put a box on here. Shh. That means these lines are perpendicular. So what's the value of angle 1? 90 degrees, right? What's the value of angle 2? Compare angle 1 and 2. So what's up? Supplementary, thank you. No, linear pair have to form a line. These two do not form a line together. They're just across from each other. Linear pair is adjacent and supplementary. You remember, if we don't check adjacent, then it can't be linear. Linear pair have to sit right by each other. Over here, back on number 3, that was a linear pair. They sit right next to each other. You see it? These down here are across from each other. Alright. Faith, I need you now. 8 and duck one more time now. Gotcha.